just press record on this. Here we go. We're recording now. Okay, let me find the PowerPoint. Oh, I've got to share screen first. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I'm going to start this whole thing without sharing screen. There we go. Okay, so I don't know how appropriate this is going to be for anybody today, but it's really pretty appropriate for me. So, and that is priority management. Some of you have seen my priority management stuff before, but it is always nice to go over these things. So we're going to look at priority management. And again, it is something that is really awesome, Leonie. It was dark. I said to her, and if I had to ask you, what is it that you need right now? She says priority management. I said, okay, done and dusted. I got that one. So how do we balance ourselves? How do we get that balanced life between what we're doing? Because we're all juggling so many balls. And then it's unless we get the mindset around priority management, we're actually going to pretty much battle. How's it, Villy? Good. Welcome, Villy and Shalane. I didn't expect you guys, so it's awesome to have you guys with us. So yeah. Hello. Awesome. Welcome. Okay. I know Doc's listening.
Marina, she's battling with Wi-Fi, so
shame, man.
she does ask. Yeah, she can't be on.
Okay, cool. She's gonna miss you when you move away from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, shame. Okay.
And Shalane is also busy working on the
yes,
side.
Yeah, no, we excuse her. She's got a lot of work to do. So yeah, awesome. Okay, so when we look at priority management, one of the things that's, again, it goes around mindset. And when we look at mindset, most of us talk about time management. And you look at the 1 minute manager, that kind of thing. So everybody talks about time management. But the reality is that we cannot manage time. So then and the reason we can't manage time is because God has said to us, I'm giving you time. So therefore, how do you manage it? All right. So you can't tell 2 to go and sit next to 6. You can't tell 6 that, oh no, sorry, I don't need you right now. Can you please go back an hour or 2? So you and I cannot manage time. So I'd like us to, from now on, stop saying that it's all about time management. Prioritizing has nothing to do with time management at all. Then a lot of us turn around and say, I need to find time. I'll find time to do that. Or especially when our kids come and ask us to do a project, or somebody comes and asks us to do something. So, okay, just give me a break. I'll find some time to do it. Reality is you can't find time. Time is time. I mean, it's not behind the cupboard. It's not under the bed. It's not down the passage. So you can't go and find time. All right. So time is not existent. So the reality is, okay, if it's not time management and we can't find time, what actually is it? And the bottom line is, you and I have been given a time frame by God. The sun goes up, the sun goes down. We have our 24 hours. We've been given a clock. That is it, all right, on a daily basis. So all you and I can do is, in actual fact, manage ourselves within the time frame that we've been given. And if we can master that art, you'll be able to prioritize correctly. So no more saying from your mouth, okay, I'll find some time to do it. You've got to sit down and say, hold on a second, I can't find time. I can't manage time. So therefore, the reality is, the reason why it's out of control is because I'm not managing myself within the time frame. Does anybody want to comment on that? Or is that a new way of looking at things? Anybody want to say anything or type in? Okay, awesome, Leonie. It is a while. And so the moment you and I can actually come to that realization that, awesome, Villy, nice, it's new, it's fresh, and it's a reality. And this is why people battle to prioritize, is because they're trying to find time or manage time. And the reality is, no, you need to sit down and say, okay, God has given me time. God has given me time frame. God has said the sun will go up, the sun will go down. Now, what is my responsibility to do what I need to do? Therefore, I need to manage myself, which is self-management within a time frame. Okay, so that is basically it. We could literally end this conversation right now. But it's, how do I master it? And so it's all about developing the leader within you, because self-management is all about developing that leader within you. Because if you don't develop the leader within yourself and realize who you are as an individual, we are going to always be busy. and reminded me today, I haven't heard this for a long time, but busy is all about being under Satan's yoke. Okay, that's busy, being under Satan's yoke. In other words, Satan doesn't want you to complete the tasks that you're supposed to do. He wants to sidetrack you. Little devil that sits on your shoulder is like really running you off in this direction and this direction. And somebody will come and ask you, can you quickly do this for me? And the reality is, if you learn to manage yourself and manage yourself within your time frame, you will manage the exceptions that do come in. So instead of trying to pack your schedule and somebody quickly comes past and says, can you quickly help me? The frustration is not going to be there because you've allowed that time within your day to actually be and allow yourself to be sidetracked by the people. And that you and I don't factor into our normal day, hence our frustration when it does happen. So if you know you allow within your day and give yourself those 15-minute breaks 3 or 4 times through the day, that's actually 4 times in a day, so in an hour. So you can allow an hour's worth of distractions without getting frustrated. And that's how we should be managing. So how effective are our efforts right now is a question we need to ask ourselves. So before you go to bed tonight, how effective are your efforts? And in fact, at the end of this, I'd like you to answer that. How effective are your efforts in prioritizing? And are your efforts really what you're saying they are? So double check yourself, like, okay, I say that I'm pretty good. No, well, let's check this out. Let's ask somebody else in your family how you're prioritizing, or your boss how you're prioritizing, and that's a reality. Then do you feel like you're spinning on a wheel all the time? Like you wake up in the morning and you're just going, and you go to bed and you wake up in the morning, you're just going, very much like this little mouse. Because what happens is you're going so fast, eventually, if you stop for a split second, you actually fall off the wheel. So that's the reality of it. The moment, when we are running fast, if we falter 1 foot because we're running so fast, so watch this little dude again. He jumps on the wheel of life and he is spinning. So he's like quite happy. He's going as fast as he possibly can. 1 pause and he flies off the wheel. And that's the reality that's going to happen to you and I. 1 pause, and we literally are going to fly off that wheel. So yeah, that's you. I know that little mouse reminds me a lot of me when I used to play it quite often in my training. It was like, oh my gosh, there I go again. But the reality is that we need to start taking that time out, that rest that you guys spoke about, okay? And he had shiny eyes before getting on. Yeah, after that, he didn't have shiny eyes no more. He was like totally taken out of the picture. And that's the reality. So one of the things that most of this content I'm giving you now is content that I've actually got from John Maxwell. The answer is like that it's like playing Russian roulette, with your life, literally Russian roulette with your life. It's so true, Vilma. And I've learned to master these arts, the art of these things. And often our cell phones distract us, okay, so quickly. Our Facebook distracts us so quickly. So when do we allow ourselves to understand that everything when in priority management is about juggling an act? So you've all seen those guys that spin the plates, and then they spin this plate and then spin this plate. And literally that's how we feel, that we're always spinning plates. And so what happens if we let one plate sort of slow down? Eventually that also falls off. So what is our juggling act and how are we juggling? So remember, everything rises and falls on leadership, which means that all of us are leaders. Okay, we lead somebody somewhere along the line, and that's the reality of it. So what we need to provide for ourselves and also for people that we're actually mentoring, coaching, or putting in the workplace. And this is something that I found, especially recently, most of the times that I've been managing teams, it's been network marketing teams. So it's basically a group of volunteers that in actual fact are there to create some financial income. So I haven't had to do this with that group of entrepreneurs and volunteers. But in the workplace, and I've had to really go back to this again and say to myself, if I'm helping a staff to do something, how do I as a leader make sure that we do that? Okay, we deserve to appear on AGT with all the juggling. This is so true, Wilma. We might even win because we've got so many plates that we've done juggling. They'll be so impressed with us. Okay, so the most important thing when priority managing, because remember, it's all about prioritizing yourself, managing yourself within a time frame. So that's priority management, managing yourself in a time frame. And the first thing is focus. How do I get focus back again? And tonight, we're going to look at some of the ways that we can get focus back again. What is my focus? How do I use focus? What do we do? All right, so how do we get focus back? How do I direct focus? How do I give focus out? How do I help other people focus on what you want them to focus on? And to do it with high energy, to do it with them wanting to actually do it, so much so that they end up focusing more than you focus. All right, and that's a reality. And that is because you give them the second thing. So it's all about focus. But once you know what you're focusing on, if you want to juggle your act smoothly, we need to have direction. So it's all about, this is what I focus on. Now, what is my direction to obtain that focus? Because if I can't give people the direction, or myself the direction to focus on what I need to focus on, I'm going to play Russian roulette, as Vilma says, and also be the mouse that just literally ends up with no shiny eyes at the end of the day, and you're feeling dull. So unless we have the third element, there has to be the third element, and the third element is clarity. So it's not clarity first, because if you try and get clarity first, you don't know what you're going to try and get clarity on. So most people want the how before they want the what must I be doing. So it is the other way around. If you want to learn to prioritize and get your tasks so they're running like little yellow ducks behind mama duck, okay? And that is focus. Once you know have focus, what direction are you going in? And once you know what direction is, now to formulate the clarity to obtain the direction to maintain the focus. We can't turn it the other way around. If we're trying to look for clarity all the time, we're going to lose focus. So it has to be write down, this is my objective. This is what we need to do. Now let's clarify that everybody knows exactly, because inconsistency, all right, inconsistency is when people say, why should I put the effort in when something else is going to prioritize next week? That's what we do when we try and focus on direction and clarity without focus, because we're jumping around. There's a different thing that we're focusing on each week. So if we know what the end goal is, we can have small goals in between to obtain these things. And so it is important for all of us to say, what is my focus? What is the direction that I need to be going in to obtain that? And then does everybody around me have clarity if there's other people involved in this, including yourself if you're only prioritizing something for yourself? Because many a days we know what we're going to do, we get in the car and we go do it. And then we get there and we wonder why that didn't work out, and why didn't, because you didn't have clarity. You didn't have clarity on what it is that we've got to focus on. So inconsistency is when one of those three are not in play. And that's important for us to realize. Does anybody want to pass a comment, or I'm just going to stop share quickly on what we've done so far? Anybody want to say anything, comment? Doc?
Yeah, I just think when it came to juggling acts, I asked myself a drilling down question in terms of, if that is the case, how would I actually approach my life? How would I look at it? And I immediately went to the 5 aspects of life, and I can get them.
Maslow's hierarchy.
Maslow's hierarchy: physical, emotional, social, spiritual, and financial. So I'll just say it again: physical, emotional, social, spiritual, and financial. So then what I did was I actually scored myself out of 10 right now. Where am I in terms of saying, this is in terms of focus. Because if I, in this juggling act, how much focus am I giving these areas? And I actually realized that physical right now is my highest focus, because I wanted to make sure that my health is optimal in a sense. And then I looked at what was my lowest one, which was emotional, which means, if I'm honest, I'm not taking enough time to prioritize myself. I did it when I went to Sun City. I did it once, but doing it once doesn't, one swallow doesn't boil the summer. So I actually realized, for instance, I need to sit and have my emotional bounce of time with Michelle in terms of getting to know how we are really progressing in terms of prioritizing our life, and in terms of the bigger picture where God wants us to go. So I
So
just
did you
felt,
get did you get the Maslow's hierarchy? Did you write them down? Are you all good? So it was emotional.
Okay.
Emotional. Oh,
physical,
PHYSR. Physical,
social,
social,
spiritual,
spiritual.
and financial. Now, the other thing that normally that sort of brings you out of kilter is if you have spiritual focus, whatever that means to you, I know what it means to me, is not fully in focus. I give myself an acceptable score, but the truth is, why is it that only when you have a crisis that becomes a focus? Because now I need you. Whereas if that becomes your point of departure, it's acceptable what I'm doing, but you know what? I just know that my focus could be better there.
Yeah. So if you go back to a photographer, I don't know. Yes, Philippe, go for it.
Okay, you can finish it.
No, carry on.
Yeah, and well, I just thought what you are saying is the focus is for me is that is a definiteness of purpose in all 5 of these. If you have a definiteness of purpose, you have a certain weight you want to get to, or in any one of these. If you set yourself a target, then it's easier, and then it's your time management is easier.
Absolutely.
Because then you are focused.
You're managing yourself within the time frame.
Exactly, and also if you can connect that to your passion, you are focused, and immediately your time management will up.
Awesome, George.
Yeah, I was thinking of something now, and I think you know where I come from with the business that we're in the network marketing space. We tend to put down your goals and you write them down.
Yeah.
But now you write your goals down for the business, but the stuff that Anne got out here now, emotional, physical, social, spiritual, and financial, you should actually have a goal for each of those aspects, those 5 aspects or 6, was it 5 of them?
Yeah.
For each of those 5 aspects, you should actually have maybe 1 or 2 goals in that aspect, which you should also write down every day, because you write down the goal, you read the goal every day, you write them every day, so it's going to take you maybe a bit longer than just your business goals. But I mean, if you put them down on paper and you do it every day, you're going to get somewhere with that. I mean, if you like, if I can just make a simple example, I know Anne runs 10Ks on Saturday morning. So, I mean, that is a goal that you can put down. Running a 10K on a Saturday morning is one of his goals. But I don't think he writes it down. It's in his head. But he does. I know he does it. I mean, I see him go out the gate here and telling him he's mad, you know, to go and run. But I know he's doing it. So, no, making a joke about it. But that's something that I think we should do, but we're not doing it. So
I agree with you. Totally agree with you, George. And it is, and if you look at each of those areas, like a photographer, so the photographer doesn't get clarity of before he takes the picture. He has to focus and decide, okay, I'm going to take a picture of that. That's my focus. Then he puts the camera there. Then the direction comes in with the absolute clarity of adjusting the focus. He doesn't get a clear picture without the focus first. Okay, so that's what we need to be doing. Leonie, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to ask a question, actually. When you're constantly within the juggling act, when your main focus is the whole time, which is glass balls and which can bounce, so that's your constant, that's it. Is it denial, or is it actually trying to part of the focus, you know, working it out, or is it, you see what I'm saying? Is it just like a damage control kind of instinct?
And it is, because we do have, and that's when we are doing the juggling act, the reality is some of them are glass balls and some of them are bouncing balls. So for example, if you arrive late to fetch your child from school, that could possibly be a bouncing ball. They could bounce back very quickly. But if you missed an anniversary, for example, that's a glass ball, okay? There's going to be tension in the house for a while. So the reality is we are juggling, and that's what we need to say to ourselves. When I'm prioritizing, where does that fit in? And that's what we're going to talk about just now when we look at what we're actually prioritizing and how does it fit in, and how frequently do we need to adjust that prioritizing. And managing ourselves within a time frame, because the reality is, there's a lot of balls, and even with staff, when you're dealing with staff, they're all glass balls if you think about it, because you can't drop one of them, because then they're going to get upset, angry, don't want to work, throw their toys out the cart, all those kind of things. So every single one of them is a glass ball. But now when you've got 10, how do I do this? And how do I make sure that those glass balls don't hit the ground? And when they are about to hit the ground, that I recognize it fast enough. And that's a reality. That's a juggling act for sure. Anybody else want to add anything? You're all good. Thanks for the input, guys. This has been really great.
I think, Michelle, in all of this, you need to count the cost.
Yes.
And if the cost is worth it, then
So glad you said that.
Then it's worth it. Because
Absolutely.
it is with how much is a glass worth?
Mm-hmm.
It might be worth more to you than to me. It's the value that that person sees in it. So the count for everybody is different.
Awesome.
So,
love it. It's so
yeah.
true. So true. And then you're going to enjoy my clip that I'm going to show you just now then. Okay, let's go back to share screen. I must make sure, let me just stop share. I want to just make sure that I've got, yes, I do have sound. That's great. Boom. Okay, super. All right, so that's the reality. Focus, direction, clarity. Which brings us to the reality. We need to say to ourselves again, remember, it's all about managing yourself within a time frame. You need to map out your day. Really honestly look at your day and say, how do I map out my day? What is my reality of my day? When do I sleep? When do I wake up? How long does it take me? You encounter me as staff. Awesome, Billy. Love it. And the reality is, look at your day. And what we all need to realize is, as in the daytime, you and I have what I call, and what I've been taught to call it, is a cloud time. All right. And then we also have the sunshine times in our day. So some of us are morning people, some of us are not morning people. Okay. So my cloud time of the day is anything up to 9 o'clock in the morning. So in the previous workplace, they would always have meetings at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm not even functioning at 8 o'clock in the morning. So how did they expect to get the best out of me if I didn't function well at that time of the morning? Then I get other people that can't function at 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Why are we having meetings at 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon? So spend some time over the next week and just study when your energy goes low and when your energy is high, because you need to manage the time when your energy is low. It's your responsibility to manage your own time and what you're doing in that time frame. Maybe that's the best time to go and rest. All right. Mine is normally around about 3 in the afternoon. I peter out a little bit, but then I end up coming back around about 6 o'clock, and then I can go right the way through to midnight. So learn who you are and how you manage your time yourself within that time frame. It's very important for us to do that. Okay, so I want you to map out your day. Okay. Right, let's have a watch this video. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. So let's just click there.
The next growth area that I want to talk to you about,
sound is good.
is priorities. Trust me, this is an area that I really needed to grow in unbelievable ways, because in my earlier years, I had a lot of things to do, and I had a hard time figuring out what was most important. And then one day in a business class, a professor taught the Pareto principle. And I can tell you with a big smile today, the Pareto principle changed my life. It will yours too. Basically, the Pareto principle says that if you took the things you need to do and you prioritize them correctly, So that the most important thing was at the top, number 1. The second most important thing was number 2. Third most important thing was number 3. All the way down to the least of the 10 is number 10. If you prioritized your items and things to do correctly, the Pareto principle says then if you just did the top 2, number 1 and 2, that you would get an 80% return of everything you wanted and needed in your life. In other words, you didn't have to do a lot of things. You just had to do the main things to be successful in life. And I can remember as a student in that business class that day, as that prof began to teach the Pareto principle, I said to myself, I'm going to learn everything I can about Pareto and this principle because I knew that it was a key that was literally going to unlock my potential. And it's true, it did. I became a student of Pareto. And I discovered that that 20-80 principle, which I called it so many times, really works in the area of prioritizing your life. And let me help you by sharing with you right now what I call the 3 R's. When I began to develop that in my life and prioritize my life correctly, I realized that there are 3 R's of questions I needed to ask myself. The first R is requirement. What is required of me? What do I have to do? Because you and I have things we have to do. Okay, it's got to be on that list. The second R is what gives me the greatest return. These are the things that we do well, and when we do them, there's a great return, perhaps on our job, financially, perhaps in a relationship, there's a great return. But it really, the little effort that maybe we even give it brings a huge return to us. And the third R is reward. What makes me happy? What is rewarding to me? What I discovered is that if I could line up the 3 R's, what's required of me, what's my greatest return, and what is my most wonderful reward, if I could line them up and I could prioritize my life based on them, then I would begin to truly do the most important things and have the greatest success in my life.
Right, Vilma, so that it goes back to what you're saying. What is the reward out of it? Okay, so what is my return? What I'm going to get? So again, the Pareto principle, probably the most dynamic principle. So I would highly recommend you spend some time having a look at it. And it is about doing so when you do go to your physical, emotional, social, financial, and spiritual, and like George says, you've got your goals for that particular area. Even though we've got the goal, we need to prioritize achieving that goal within my day. So you don't have to do all 5 every single day, but you can choose when you're prioritizing, which one am I going to prioritize today? And then do 2 things, just 2 things to help yourself go towards that goal. Okay. It could be 1 towards emotional. It could be 1 towards financial. It could be so, but you need to spend the time and saying, what are the 2 things that I'm going to do? Because if you do the 2 things, they're going to give 80% results versus what we're currently doing. By juggling all the balls, we're doing 80%, which is giving us a 20% result. That's the opposite. And so how do I juggle this? What do I do? And how do I make it a reality for myself? And the same thing. You good?
Yes, I mean, just something that came to mind is that whenever you're busy with a course like tonight, or if you go on a real course, is that Michelle and I have developed the habit of writing in the back of the book the action steps of what are we going to do about what we are being taught on or trained on at that point in time. Because there's a vast amount of information, but if you want transformation, you need to say, what are the top 2 things that I need to do to achieve the result that I want, so eventually I can get the reward. And even tonight, I've already written down what I have to do to get a result so far. At the end of the evening, I'll look at the 3 or 4 or 5 notes that I made. I'll decide on the top 2, and then I will action those because I know that will give me the best result towards my reward.
Awesome. Great. Cool. John Maxwell. Enjoy that guy. Okay, so that's the Pareto principle. Just want to get that out of the way. Here we go. Cool. Okay, so here's some to-dos and how we can take control back of our lives. So instead of bringing it individually, I decided to put it all up one go so that you can either take a screenshot or you can jot them down for yourselves while we're going through them. Now, in order for us to prioritize, like Antis just said, name your top priority items. So what are your top priority items? How are you going to see your top priority items? Where are your top priority items? What are they? Okay, so it is important for us to spend time saying, what is my list? John actually put there, what is it my first? What is my second? What is my third? What is my fourth? And then do the top 2. So make that list of 10 and then do the top 2. And even if it's only the top 2 you achieve for that day, remember the bottom 8 becomes the top of your list the following day. All right, so that is how you can keep yourself going. Remember that once you achieve your top 2, it's going to give you more focus and more energy. Plus, you're going to have a sense of accomplishment. And it's so important to understand that if I don't have a list, okay, I'm going to battle. And I personally use Trello, and I love using Trello. So even if I'm, Anthony also he wrote down Trello there as well. I use Trello, and because it's on my phone, and if I'm anywhere and suddenly something comes up that I've got to do, I immediately put it on Trello. Then every morning I sit and I adjust the Trello to what are my 2 that I need to do for the day, and I push them to the top, and then the others can come down. So every single morning I look at those 2 things. And then at the end of the day, just say, all right, what are the 2 things I need to focus on tomorrow? And then you wake up in the morning knowing what you need to focus on. So don't try and say, what must I do today? Plan it the night before. Think about what are your 2 priorities that you would like to achieve, so that when you go to bed, your mind starts already working on the 2 things. So when you wake up in the morning, you almost have clarity before you even started, because you took the focus the night before. Okay. And then you just get on with the direction and keep going. Then consider these 4 Ds when you actually are deciding, because most people say, well, how do I know what I should be doing first? Well, decide. The first D is decide what is important to you. Then the second D is ditch what feels like an unnecessary task. In other words, I don't have to do it today. All right. Anthony's got a very good way of filing, and he does it quite often. And he used to do it quite often. I don't see him doing it anymore, but he used to do it very nicely. He used to have 3 trays, an A, B, and a C tray. And the A was whenever somebody brought a piece of paper to him. Okay, so whenever someone brought a piece of paper to him, he would look at the piece of paper. Those are the days before we had emails, but now he transitioned to an A, B, and C in his email box. All right. So when you get a lot of emails, all you do is you don't have to read them all. The moment you just look at A, I need to do that today. So read your email. I need to do this today. I need to action this now today. Put it in the A, put it in the A, put it in the A. The B is I need to action it within this week. Put it into the B. The C is I need to do this within the next 30 days. And then you move it. Clean up your inbox. So your inbox is always clean. Then go straight to the A. I need to finish these tasks today, or these emails have to be addressed today. I wish we could do that with WhatsApp and all those kind of things, but there isn't a little place that we could put them across on. But that is where, and you can do the same thing with Trello. You can do an A, B, and C in Trello. And every time you get given a task or something comes to do, but going back to the olden days, Ant had a tray. He had an A tray, a B tray, and a C tray. And then he knew within these days, and then he would put the date on it, so that he knew when 30 days was up, if it was lying in the 30-day tray. You want to say?
I use on Trello, I use red, amber, and green as my ABC. So everything that I must do now, today,
Red.
I make red. Anything in the week, I make yellow. And then what I can do in the next 30 days, I make green.
Okay,
So that's how I do it. And when it's completed, I just move it out of the box.
Yeah, absolutely, and just put it onto the action or archive it.
Yeah.
So guys, it is important so you've got to learn to know what to ditch. All right. So let's what is irrelevant for today? Okay. Then the other one is delegate. The third D is delegate. What can I delegate to somebody else? And please don't dirty delegate. Make sure that when you delegate, the person you have done focus. You have done, what's the other thing that you need to do? Focus.
And clarity.
Direction and clarity.
Correct. Focus, direction, and clarity. Though when you delegate a task, make sure that the person you've delegated has all 3 of those boxes checked. If you don't, it's called dirty delegation. In other words, you've set the person up for failure. All right. And I witnessed that this week when somebody passed a task on to somebody else, never taught them how to do it, and that person failed embarrassingly horribly. And it was not nice to see. Okay, it was not nice to see. And that was pure dirty delegation. All right, so we must make sure that when we delegate tasks that they're done with absolute clarity, okay, and focus and direction. And then the last one is what's left for you to do, and put that on, and then go 1 to 10 on those, and then work through those as well. So that's some way that you can consider your Ds, and please name your top priorities and prioritize them. Yes, you want to say
I
something?
just want to add value on the word delegate. Yes, the truth. If you are really a specialist at what you do, you'll be challenged to actually delegate, because you'll keep on saying the other person cannot do it as well as I can do it.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn from John Maxwell. If anybody else can do it 80% as good as you, it is their 100%.
Yeah.
Delegate. And I've had to just make peace with the fact that as long as I delegate, I can accomplish more by getting more done through several people, as opposed to me doing everything, wanting to do it to my standard of perfection. And that's when I actually found out that perfection is actually...
That's difficult, hey?
What's that, Wilma?
That's very difficult. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
It is. It was a big learning curve for Anne. Big
And
learning
that's
curve.
where, if you can focus on empowering people,
Yes.
then it sort of, it makes you feel better, that you, or it makes it, no, that's the wrong word. It makes you more likely to delegate. Because
Exactly.
if you want to empower, you have to delegate.
You have to.
Otherwise, you empower.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
And the art of empowering people through delegation is to make sure that you've trained them correctly, and not just dump them, on it.
And also afford them to make mistakes.
Yes. Yes.
Because that's how we started as well.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's when you encourage them and you motivate them, support them and uplift them. But if you just dump them and they fail, then that's not nice. But yeah, I agree with you on that one. Awesome. Thanks, Wilma.
Okay, Dr. Michelle,
Yes.
what if there's no one to delegate to?
Oh, dear.
Find somebody.
Succession plan.
Okay,
I
so
wish there were.
so it all depends on what the task is. There are people that are looking for something to do because they actually don't have anything to do in a day. So you could always find someone that wants it. So many years ago, there was a gentleman that really just, he had no work, no job, and we could not afford to put him into, because we were full-time in the ministry. But he just said, you know what, if I can just learn from you guys, I don't want a salary. The salary is going to be for me not sitting at home, but I can learn some tasks so that I can add them to my CV and that then become employable later. So there really and truly are people out there. And then your job is to train, coach them. It's called, and succession planning, as Anthony said, if you can afford to pay for some, but if you can't, you will be amazed at how many people actually just want to do something for the day and ask and say, I'm just looking for a couple of people. I cannot pay anybody, but I can give you experience and expertise, and I just need some help in this area for a month or whatever it might be. There's school kids. There's so many people that are willing to obtain some skill, because that skill. And today, this guy's running his own ministry. He's got a successful family with 3 children, doing what he's in income, and he's skilled now. And at the time, eventually we, as our ministry grew, we eventually could pay for him to be there. And he stayed with us for quite a long time. But his journey was quite phenomenal. So there are people like that, believe it or not. My wife always has me to delegate. Yeah, she delegates to you very well, Billy. That's why she's got you. She's lucky to have you to run around and do things. Okay, but Sonia, just think about, there are some people, but otherwise, if you're scared to delegate, that's another whole story altogether.
If I can be practical, Sonia, what I would do is, when you make your top 10 list, ask yourself, force yourself to delegate the bottom 2.
Yeah. to train
And
someone.
ask yourself, who is the person or people that could possibly manage this on my behalf? And then trial it. Until you've tried at least 3 times, don't say that you have failed.
Yeah. Yeah, keep
Yeah,
going.
no,
You'll
for
find
sure.
someone.
No,
Yeah. Awesome.
I will definitely do that.
A great question. Thank you. A tough one, but a good one. Okay, so that's 2 of them. And then the third one is, oh, this doesn't want to go. Let me just, there we go. Don't know what's happening there to my screen. All right. Breathing, guys, the 4-8 breathing technique. It's very, just sometimes you know, when you, before prioritizing your list, or once you've got your list, you think you need to tackle your whole list, just take a deep breath, because you need to focus on the top 2. All right. And it's very easy. The 4-8 is inhale for the count of 4, exhale for the count of 8. Do that 3 times and you'll find your mind gets oxygen and your body gets relaxation. So what happens is you're able to focus again. So the moment you're feeling overwhelmed and you've got too many tasks and you don't know what to your top 2, the 4-8 breathing principle, very simple. Inhale for 4, exhale for the count of 8. Okay, it's a really amazing thing, because that the inhaling from 4 and holding it to exhale allows the oxygen to go to the brain. Too many times we're inhaling and exhaling too quickly and the oxygen doesn't get to the brain. Okay, then use the 15-minute rule, and that is break your tasks into 15 minutes and then get up and walk around. Or other way you can do it is go for 45 minutes, break for 15, go for 45, break for 15. It's important to try and break your day up. Okay. Look, what?
Yeah, try and read that, Michelle.
I'm trying. Okay, we're gonna have to need some
Translation.
Yeah.
Wow. Even for myself, blik op oneindig and go. You're going to have to explain, Wilma. That's the term that I have never even
Blik
heard
op
before.
oneindig. In other words, you keep your eyes on the goal and you go.
Like a horse.
And it's only in South Africa that you can speak like that, that we in one language, in one sentence, use 2 languages on a regular basis.
Interesting. Awesome. Okay, and then the next, so that's 3 and 4. 5 is keep a master to-do list. This is where your Trello comes in very handy, because remember, you're not going to try and, we have so much to do that we forget to put things on a list. So get yourself I don't know how you're going to do it. I like Trello because you can manage it so easy. Every time you've got an activity, add it to Trello, categorize them into, you can categorize it into emotional, spiritual, all that if you wanted to. Your work tasks, you need to categorize them into, is it a training? Is it something I need to do for this? Or, you know, categorize, you'll know your entity. Okay. Once you've categorized them and put them, you can keep adding to that list. Then on a daily basis, you make a list of 10, because you cannot do all of them. And if you break it into the A, B, and C, you will know by when you've got to do what. Okay, and then if you do the decide, the ditch, the delegate, and the do, then you're able to manage the list. So it is all about going back to the reason we get overwhelmed is because we're trying to manage time, we're trying to find time, but we're not managing ourselves within a time frame. So if we can master the art of managing ourselves within a time frame, we're able to do this. Okay, and then do a brain dump. A brain dump very basically is, it's a coping skill technique. It's a really good technique. If your mind is feeling overwhelmed at any given time in the day, stop, and you can either write it down or you can put it on Trello. It's entirely up to you. But what you do is just write down everything you're thinking of at that time, because your brain wants to process. Your brain has been designed to process. So if you've got 10 people sending you information of things you need to do, your brain is going to get overwhelmed. It could be your child's birthday. It could be a wedding coming up. It could be your sister needs to go to hospital. It could be your son needs to go to hospital. It could be now I've got to make sure that these 10 people have got work to do for today. And all this overwhelms us. And we're thinking of all these things, but your brain wants to process them. Your brain has been designed to process them. Your brain has been designed to find an answer. So if you don't help your brain find an answer, your brain is just going to buzz all the time. If you find your brain is busy before you go to bed at night, just write down until your brain can stop, because the moment you've put it on paper, your brain says it's solved.
I actually want to share that Michelle taught me that earlier years. I saw her with a pen and paper next to the bed, and I saw her just pop every now and then, think of something and just quickly write it down. And the sooner I started that habit as well, not only did I have the things that I possibly might have to include in what I need to focus on, but also it literally cleared my brain so I was able to go to sleep. Otherwise, you keep on thinking about it. And the one thing that I've learned from a seminar is no one in the world can do anything about what is on their desk lying in their bed.
Nothing you can't do when you're lying in bed to go to sleep. There's nothing you can do about it. So because what's going to happen is, and what is happening, all right, is you think about it, you go to sleep, and then it gets pushed 2 or 3 back because a whole lot of things happen. Then all of a sudden, a week later, you're going to remember something that you should have done. Now you lie awake thinking, oh, I forgot to let that person down, all the rest of it. But if you go, before you go to bed at night, just pen and paper next to your bed. If there's nothing there, that's fine, go to sleep. But if you're lying there and you think of something, write it down immediately. Your brain says, job done, okay, which is cool. But when you wake up in the morning, you can now put that on the list to be actioned, okay? And that's a brain dump. Brain dumping is probably the most powerful tool you can learn to do in order to find clarity. Because once you've brain dumped, you then can get that list, prioritize it, categorize it, and it's all out of your head. And then you can go and say, okay, fine, now I'm going to focus on this, as opposed to your mind bringing up all these things all the time because they are unresolved issues and your brain wants you to solve them. Okay, that's how it works. It's designed that way. Okay, cool. So brain dumping, great technique to learn. And then once you've brain dumped, other than the fact that you're going to sleep, then rest. If you have to brain dump first thing in the morning or at work or something like that because you're just suddenly overwhelmed, then just get up, go grab a cup of coffee, take a walk, talk to someone else, then come back and look at the list fresh. Okay, so once you've brain dumped, don't try and prioritize. You need to get your head away from it, okay, and move your mind completely away from it and then carry on from there.
Something I want to confess. Every now and then, I get so overwhelmed that all of a sudden, I cannot function. And I know I need to prioritize. And you know what I do? It's a silly task. I start packing right everything around my desk area. I make sure that everything is square, in packs. And if I can just quickly put them ABC, I do it. But I first sort out everything around my desk so that I look at my own desk saying, now it looks tidy. Somehow that is how I gain control. I don't know if that will work for you. But whenever
I
you get
so do the same thing.
You as well, Vilma?
Yeah,
Nope.
absolutely. Then that's in your immediate control. It's something that you can cope with. And then the bigger things follow.
Exactly, awesome.
Yeah,
Yes,
And you
Lily.
feel
I'm exactly the
accomplished.
same.
Yeah, exactly, Leonie. You feel like you've accomplished something and everything looks neat. Awesome. Yes, Billy.
Just something of that. And just a question: if someone else needs your table, what then?
I want to crack because once he's done his desk, he wants to come and do mine. And I'm like, dude, don't you touch your papers here.
No, the answer to that is no.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
I-
Like, no.
To say, sometimes I wake at night. I don't know if you've mentioned it. I wake at night with something in my head, and then I switch my light on and write it down on this a piece of paper. And sometimes it happens 2 or 3 times at night.
Awesome. I agree
And
with
then
you,
you go
Billy.
to sleep, and immediately you sleep.
Exactly. So it's so important that you're right. You wake up, or you might have gone through and something. Oh, I've thought about this. It's like, and the mind wants to solve it. So while you're sleeping, you're not going into your proper sleep. And you know all about the sleeping patterns, but you don't go in because your mind now is trying to solve this little thing. So if the moment you write it down, you fall asleep again.
Yes, something else that is interesting.
Nice one, Billy. Thank you.
Michelle's creative time is in the shower.
Mm.
And we've learned as a couple, and we've agreed, because when she's in the shower, all of a sudden she gets this epiphany and she gets these fantastic ideas. However, in the past, she forgets them, and 2 weeks later, go like, oh, you know what I wanted to tell you. And then I actually, when we worked out this happens, the pattern is it happens when she's in the shower. And I actually put a spiritual connotation to it, and that is that the water of God flows over her, and the Holy Spirit is actually inspiring her. So I've made a point that when she's in the shower, I go close to her. And when she starts talking, guys, she doesn't stop talking because it just goes and goes and goes.
He makes notes quickly.
And I make notes. And then what I do is I just hand her and say to her,
there we go. Go do this tomorrow.
Go do this tomorrow.
Awesome.
And I found that partnership is actually valuable in a relationship. It's one of, if people say, what do you guys do this different? That's one thing that we do this different.
So yeah, it's awesome.
Nice.
So I'm not going to do staff brainstorming in the shower, okay? Okay.
I'll have to get a secretary for all this admin that you guys are talking about.
well, here's a good one. We won't. Yeah. There we go. Nothing personal, George, at all. Okay.
Nothing personal, no regrets. Nothing personal, call off the beds. We were ships that crossed in the night. I don't really know why you're so uptight. Nothing personal, it's alright. Nothing personal, short and sweet. Nothing personal.
Don't we feel like doing that to our tasks sometimes? It's just like
my type of approach.
just get the task out the way and done it.
Get sorted. Like a fox terrier. If you can't eat it, be on it and go.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that wraps up. That wraps it up, because sometimes we just want to knock them all out the way. Like, just thought, like, there we go. When you said what you said, I thought, well, let's take nothing personal. Absolutely. So those are the ones that the tasks that we're going to totally ditch, because once you've done it, you think, oh dear, should I have done what I've done? All right. Please, can you tell me one thing that you got out of tonight so far? We've got 6 minutes to go. Right. Who would like to start?
Well, I want to go back to what Anne said. And, you know, the first thing that we started with is making a list and prioritize it. That I learned quite early in my career when you had to start working with stuff. You gotta write your stuff down, put the priority at the top and go down to the lower one, because normally the bottom stuff you don't even get done, but the priority stuff is at the top. You do that and you finish it up. But the biggest take that I got out of tonight was to not just have goals on the business side of things, but you have goals on your emotional, your physical, your social, spiritual, financial. Put all those goals and determine a goal for each, even if it's just 1 or 2. Correct. And write that down as well, because what you put in your head is what's going to happen outside. I mean, that's just like it is.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bible tells us you must think what you want to do, because what you think you're going to get sorted. That's how it works.
100%.
And if you got your emotional, all those things, you've got at least 2 goals on each of those aspects. You write it down, you're thinking it, you're writing it, it's going to happen. That is how it works. True. So this is what I got. I will always only had it on my business side. So yeah.
Awesome. Brilliant. Thanks, George. Nice one. Thank you. Billy.
Yeah, the first thing, 2 things. The first thing, manage the leader within yourself. Yeah, that is something new for me. Awesome. And then the second thing is I'm gonna download the Trello.
Yes. If you need to know how to work it properly, come talk to me. Okay, so make appointment. I'll show you how to do it. I live with that thing on your phone. Put it on your laptop and on your phone. The two of them sync, and you're done. It's really good. Cool. Nice, Billy. Thank you. Right, Vilma, Sonia, Leonie, and
Oh, wait, my turn.
okay, who's next?
I would
I'll go. Okay, go, Sonia.
Manage yourself within the time frame and don't try to manage time.
Awesome.
That's
Awesome.
my plan.
Awesome. Awesome.
I'm always
Brilliant.
trying to manage the time. I'm not managing myself because I'm focused from 3 o'clock in the afternoon, properly focused from 3 o'clock in the afternoon until 1 o'clock at night. It's when my brain functions 100%.
Yeah, those are my time frames too. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not a morning person.
Oh no, me
Ditto.
neither.
Ditto, ditto, ditto.
You're in
Awesome.
good company.
Thanks, Sonia, for sharing. Yes, Vilma, while you open, what's one thing from you, and then Leonie?
Yeah, I love the 4Ds.
Nice.
Decide, ditch, delegate, and what is left
Do.
on
Do.
your to-do list. Because
Exactly.
that's basically where you land up, because that's and the things that you have to do and focus on.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice one. Awesome. Leonie.
Yes. Oh, well, I'm a fan of making lists of what to do and what needs to get done, because otherwise all my balls are glass at this stage. Like you said in the beginning, when it's staff stuff, it's glass balls. But what I've now learned, I'm going to apply the 3 R's
Yes.
to each one on the list. And because I
Nice.
do identify them, even when I do lodge shopping, for instance, I know in what order I need to do them, what's important, what's less important. But for me, applying the 3 R's to all my glass balls,
Lovely.
yeah, when your 21-year-old starts reminding you to breathe, then you know there's too many balls. Start sharing.
Exactly. I love that. What's required of me, what return am I going to get, and what's my reward out of it? And you don't think of tasks like that. So what, as Vilma was saying, so what's the weight in it, and you know how important it is to you. Awesome. Thanks, Leonie. Awesome. Doc and
Did you do everybody?
everybody.
Okay. Firstly, I want to thank Michelle, because it doesn't matter how many years you've been in management business, these refresh your mocking minds. It's just always coming at exactly the right time. Now, I've got 5 learnings, so 5 ahas tonight.
Okay.
And I want to tell you that I come onto these sessions prepared to search for something that's going to make a difference in my life. So the first thing was, somebody said, what is the cost? What popped up in my spirit was, what is the currency that you use? When I realized that the currency that I really try and trade in is to be aligned with the Holy Spirit at all times, every single day. I'm not trying to be a super Christian, but this is really who I am. And so what is the cost? I said, what is my currency? The second thing was that with everything to do, I always try and do the most difficult task first, because I have the propensity to postpone and put off the most difficult task. And then whenever I'm under pressure, I'm forced to quickly go and do it. And I never do it with the quality that I should have done it the first time. You know, Ken Blanchard said, do things right the first time. Strange how people find the time to do it right the second time.
Yeah.
My third thing was on trailer management, is the thought that came up to me as a soundboard partner, because if you've got all of these trailer lists, maybe just once a week or every once in 2 weeks, just bounce your entire trailer board off somebody that understands you, that understands your business, and then allow yourself accountability on the top 2 things that's going to give you 80% of the results you so desire.
Nice.
Then for me again, rate where you are at. You guys saw that I naturally do that, but rating it brought a realization to me that there is one area that is under 5 that I need to up my game, because at this stage of your lives where we are, for me, it's unacceptable to have any rating under 5. It's just not right. So I have to fix that one thing. And then my last learning was, don't dirty delegate. That's powerful. That's a real aha for me.
Thank you. And so my takeaway again when preparing this was exactly somebody else, as Sonia said it as well, and that is to remember it is all about managing myself within the time frame, and not to worry about the time that's been given to me, because it is what it is. But how do I get the best out of me within my day? And the same for when people that I'm working with, how do I ensure that they're doing the right things at the right time in the time frame that we wanted? So we have got the time frame, this is it here, these are the things that we need to do. So does everybody that has to do that particular task, are they able to focus on it? Do they have the right direction? And it could be direction, it could be tools, resources, all that kind of thing to do the job. And then do they have clarity of understanding that this is what's it? So for me, it was a good reminder on those two. So thank you very much for that. Awesome. Anybody else want to say one more last thing, or do we call it? Yes, George.
I want to go back about 4 or 5 weeks, because you said something now about don't delegate. Yeah, don't. So please don't give Ant a hammer again.
No,
Yeah,
no more.
George.
That's sheer dirty delegation. 100%.
Now you've ruined our friendship.
Awesome.
And,
Awesome.
and then you say something stupid like.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much.
Oh, Shan.
Awesome being with you guys again.
Michelle.
Love you guys lots, and we'll see you all next week. Take care.
guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everybody.
Pleasure. Bye.